Hello, my name's Mel and this is my channel Knit Stitch Grow, and on today's episode I want to talk about things that I've made or am making in February. So the first thing I want to talk about is what I'm wearing, and this is the Jarrah sweater by Megan Nielsen, and I mentioned this in my last video because at that point it was still a work in progress. I still needed to do the hem, and now I have finished that. So I'll just show you. I'd already shown you the fabric. It's this French terry with feathers all over it, and here is the hem. Now I used Bonder web in this, which was great for keeping the curves, but as you can see it's curling up a little bit, so I perhaps wouldn't use that again the next time. And I shortened the length of the back a little, just so it wasn't quite as long, but next time I think I may take it up just by about another inch or so, so that the front and back are more even in length. So yeah, but I was quite pleased with how it turned out. I like the actual shape of the jumper. I actually had a go, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but I actually had a go at doing the twin needle around the neck band, which turned out quite well. I tried to use a twin needle previously for like another top that I was making, and the only one that I had was, I think it was a 2mm twin needle, and when I was trying to use it, it just it bunched up the material quite a lot, and I didn't like the way that it looked. But I found out that you could get a 4mm twin needle, so the difference between the distance between the two needles is 4 rather than 2. And that's worked out a lot better for me, so I was quite pleased with how that turned out. I did the twin needle on the bottom of the hem as well, but I did it from the wrong side, so I've ended up with the two kind of twin needle lines on the inside of the fabric and then the other side on the outside. But anyway, as I mentioned in my last video, this is going to be loungewear. I'm not going to wear this outside, so it was kind of an experiment to see if I liked the shape, and to kind of get that hem, see if I liked the shape of the hem. So overall I'm pleased with, I would definitely make another one of these because I'm pleased with the overall shape. But as I say, I would lengthen sleeves by at least another couple of inches. And I would shorten the back curved hem. But I like it because it's not too oversized. It does have a drop shoulder, but it's not too oversized. So I think overall it's a nice shape. So that was my finished object, and so the thing that took up the majority of my time in February was making a toile of the Hettie Dress. That's a pattern by Sew Over It, and I was planning to make this for my birthday because it was my 50th birthday at the start of March. So I decided to do a toile because I was swithering between a couple of sizes. There was going by the finished measurements, it said there would be 5 inches of ease in one size and maybe about 8 inches of ease in the other size. So I was between, I wasn't sure whether to make the 6 or the 8. And so I made a toile of the 6. And what I'll do is I'll not actually go too much more into that because I actually was making wee videos as I was going through the toiling process, which I'll kind of insert in shortly. But needless to say, the toile was actually a success. I got it to work after doing some adjustments. It was something unexpected that tripped me up. It was the cutting out of the fabric that tripped me up. So you'll see now the journey of the toile. Just wanted to do a quick video of my toile of the Hettie dress that I'm making. And this is, I wasn't sure whether to go for the size 6 or the size 8. So I'm toiling for the size 6. But yeah, I think I definitely need to size up to the 8. I added the seam allowance is 1.5 centimeters, and I took the side seam allowance down to 1 centimetre each side to give me more room, which was fine. But now I've put, and I think it looks okay actually in the shoulders. But yeah, you can definitely see that it's kind of too tight around the bust, and it's also the armholes are like right up in my armhole. So there's not enough room in the back. But I'm pleased with the shape, the actual shape of the dress. I think it's going to be really nice. There's a tie that you can put in the side seams that ties it at the back. So I think if I go up a size, because the actual, I like the shape and the size of the dress itself, and this is with basically like 1 centimetre added to the sides. So I don't think the bottom of the dress will actually get that much bigger, but hopefully I'll then have enough room in the top of the dress for it to be a bit more comfortable. But I just wanted to give an update because I actually really like how it looks. I just need to go up a size. This is the kind of clever inverted pleat that sits in the front, which gives you that lovely trapeze shape. And these are the long arms, but I haven't taken them up yet because obviously it's just a toile. So I'll need to add to the length whatever they ask me to use as the hem, because obviously these arms are a good length for me, but without being hemmed. So I'll add some to the arms. I'll make the next size up, and then hopefully that will be a good fit. Okay, here's my second toile. I've now done the size 8, cut out a size 8, and this is fitting better. I've got it tied at the back. But what I'm finding is it feels really tight under the arms, so I can fit like the end of the armpit is here, which is only about 1 centimetre from my actual armpit. And there's a little bit of tightness here, and it feels a little tight at the back here as well. So I think what I'm going to try and do is lower the armhole just by 1 centimetre, and see if that just gives me a bit more room. But I'm happy with everything else. I've just pinned out this neckline because I haven't put the facing on because it's obviously for the toile. So I've just kind of pinned it where it's roughly going to be. But I'm happy with how everything else looks. Yeah, I'm happy with how everything else looks. And the length of the sleeves seems to be okay as well. I've just pinned that up. It's like 4 centimetres effectively that gets taken off the sleeve length. So I'm happy with the sleeve length. But it's a little high, I think, for me under the arm. So I'm gonna do that and see if that makes a difference. Okay, so I've done a bit more work on my toile. I felt that the armhole was a bit too short. I was really feeling it cutting into me about here. So I initially added a centimetre to the depth of the armhole to give me a bit more room, and that gave me a bit more room at the back, but it was still, I still felt like it was really cutting into the front. So what I did was I just added another 1/2 centimetre to the arm side, to the pattern piece of the front of the dress, and this has now given me, it doesn't feel like it's cutting into me. It felt, the original one just felt like it was really just cutting this part of my underarm off, like it kind of finished too far back. This feels a lot more comfy, and I'm able to kind of like move around a bit. So what I did was, because I hadn't put the facing of the neckline in, I decided to do that just to make sure that I was happy with how that looked. And I think, you know, I'm not going to over engineer this, because I can see that there's, you know, a few more wrinkles here or whatever, but to me, this is good. I feel comfortable in the arms, comfortable in the shoulders. I've got a good range of movement. I've just loosely tied it at the back, so it gives me enough of a shape on the front, I think, for it to feel comfortable, and it feels a lot better than it did before. And I'm also really happy with where the V goes, because this is meant to be a party dress, so, you know, I don't want it to be too yeah, to look too kind of covered up. So my because of that, originally I was going to have the long sleeves, and I just wonder whether that's just a bit too much. Like, so now I'm wondering whether to do like 3/4 length sleeves with the dress to give it, I mean, I think that still works as like proportionately. I was thinking about, I was having a look through my other dresses that I've got, and most of them, pretty much like 90% of them, have short sleeves. So I was thinking, should I just do a short sleeve version? But then I'm going to be wearing this for my birthday, which is in a week's time. It's March, it's not that warm, so I think a longer sleeve would be better, but I just don't think I want a full length sleeve. I think that just looks a bit too conservative. So if I have, I mean, maybe a slightly longer short sleeve, I don't know. But definitely not the long sleeve. I've got to decide now whether I have like a short sleeve, a slightly longer, or a slightly longer kind of 3/4 length sleeve. The pattern does actually come with a 3/4 length sleeve pattern piece. So I guess I could use that. But yeah, I'm erring towards a slightly shorter sleeve, but otherwise I'm really happy with how this looks now, and it took quite a while to do all the adjustments, but I feel like it's just added to my learning, and I've like, now I know how to lower an armhole, which is something that I didn't know how to do before, so that's been it's been good. And hopefully now I can make my birthday dress in the fabric that I want to make it in, which is this. So I've just got a note on there to say this side up, because I've already already decided which way I want it up. So yeah, this is hopefully going to be turned into this. Hiya, I've come back on to video this because I've just done the most stupidest thing. I was feeling all happy with myself. I had my toile sorted. I was really happy with my toile. I started cutting out the dress with my proper fabric that I wanted to use, and I cut the back piece out absolutely fine. And prior to that, I'd laid the fabric out, made sure that I had enough fabric to cut out all of the pieces, you know, made sure that I had them, I was going to cut them in the right places on the fabric, that I had it on the fold, etc, etc. So I cut out the first piece and the sleeve, and then I was cutting out the second piece. And then suddenly in my head, because the fabric is, it doesn't have, when you first look at it, it doesn't look like it's got a directional print on it. But if you look at it more closely, there's just these little pink bits are all facing in the same direction. And also I thought, okay, well, if I've cut it, this is a bit that isn't on the fold, this would be the side, effectively like the side seam of the dress. I suddenly thought to myself, oh, you know, I don't want the two side seams to be completely mismatched. Like, I kind of appreciated that I might not be able to exactly pattern match it, but I also thought if I could just get it in the kind of roughly in the right place, then it wouldn't look as odd. So I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll use the back piece that I've just cut out as a kind of marker and find the right place on the remaining fabric that I have to match up the pattern, and then I'll swap, I'll put in the front piece into that same area and then cut it out. So this was all great and fine, and I had a lot of faffing about to try and find the right place. Anyway, after a lot of fussing and faffing, I found the right spot to match so that it would roughly, the side seams would roughly be the same on the front piece that I cut out and the back piece that I cut out. And I was feeling all really pleased with myself. I cut out the piece, and then I thought to myself, oh, those two pieces look a bit similar. And I realised, to my horror, that I'd cut out two back pieces rather than a back and a front piece. Just, my heart sank. So then I thought, okay, it's okay. Maybe I can still use the fabric that I've got left to cut out, because it's the pieces are on, need to be cut on the fold. So I thought maybe I can cut like one piece out of the remaining fabric and then use the back piece to cut out the other half of the pattern, put in a seam allowance, and then just have a seam running down the front. And because it was the front of the dress, you actually wouldn't see, because you have the fold, because the dress folds at the front, you wouldn't actually see the seam that would have been created. So I thought, perfect, great, I can do that. That's a great way around it. So I could do that out of the back piece of fabric, get one half of the front out of the back, but I can't get another half of a front out of the remaining piece of fabric that I've got. And I thought even at one point, well, I'm going to have to just turn the fabric around, so one side of it, the back is one way up and the front is the other way up. But because it's, you know, it's not a, as I say, because it's not an overtly directional print, I thought I could probably get away with that. But this is the selvage of the fabric. So if you look at this, it looks like it would fit on, but, and here's the killer, here is the grain line. So to get it on grain, is not going to happen. So and you can't get that fabric anymore. It's actually a Nerida Hansen one, but, and I know there's lots of controversy about Nerida Hansen, but I bought this last February. It's one with is it Verhove? What is it called? Yeah, it's one that she did with Verhees Textiles. So I can't get the fabric anymore, and I don't have enough fabric to cut out a front piece. So it looks like that's not going to happen. Oh, there was lots of swearing for about half an hour. But then I thought, okay, what can I do? I still want to make the dress. And I'll obviously keep this fabric that I've cut up and see if I can make it into, see if I can fit other pattern pieces into it for, say, like, I don't know, a small top, or it'll need to be a top, but maybe I can get a top out of it, out of the pieces that I've already cut out, so that it won't go to waste. But right now I'm not in the brain space to think of other things that can be repurposed into, and I would really like to make this dress for my birthday, and my birthday is in about 5 days time. So I looked through my stash and I found this other fabric which also has animal print vibes, and it's got lovely purples and yellows and oranges in it, and so I think I'm gonna try the dress in this instead. So it's a little darker and it's not reading spring as much as the fabric that I was going to use, but and it's a slightly different, it's a kind of heavier viscose, so a little bit more drapey than this one. But actually this does have quite a lot of drape, but it's a cotton, it's 100% cotton. So this will have slightly more drape, I think, but you can make the pattern out of a viscose drapey fabric, and it just won't have as much, of a kind of structured trapeze look to it. It'll be a softer silhouette, so it'll be a slightly different looking dress. But I was just watching So What If I Sew channel, and Jess was mentioning that she's going to do her Sew Yellow for Endo again in March, and I noticed that this has little bits of yellow in it. So if I start making it tomorrow, which is the 1st of March, then it could potentially count towards a Sew Yellow for Endo make, because the whatever you make for Sew Yellow for Endo doesn't have to be completely yellow. It can have bits of yellow in it, so maybe I can make this for that as well and have a kind of dual purpose make. So I'm still disappointed, and yeah, I'm still disappointed that I can't make use the fabric that I wanted to use for my birthday dress. But I think this is a beautiful fabric. Another fabric, I think I got this one from Lamazi as well, and I've been umming and ahhing about it for quite a while, but the colours in it, I hope you can see, there's like so many different beautiful, it reminds me of like it is quite autumnal. It does read autumnal to me, and it's and kind of burning embers and like sitting in front of a fire. That's so getting the kind of warm, embery, glow, fire vibes off of this one. So it's beautiful, and I think this is the one that I'm going to now use. But yeah, it was super disappointing, and I can't help but feel a bit of self-sabotage going on, which yeah, is something it comes up quite a lot since I've been doing the dressmaking. A lot of kind of inner monologue of, you can't do this, and it's not good enough, and you know, why are you bothering, and all that kind of stuff. So there's part of me that can't help but think that there was some amount of self-sabotage in that. But anyway, I am going to move on, try with this new fabric, and hopefully by the end of it I will have a lovely dress that I can wear for my 50th birthday celebrations. So wish me luck. So back to present Mel, and you'll have seen there the journey that I went on with making that toile for the Hettie dress. And spoiler alert, I didn't actually use that fabric in the end to make the final dress because there wasn't enough of it. I thought I had quite a lot of it because it looked like quite a long length of fabric when I picked it up, but there wasn't enough to make the dress out of. So I've actually chosen another fabric to make the dress out of. The dress is now made. I wore it for my birthday, but you're going to have to wait until next month to see the finished object, because that will be a March make, and I'm just talking about February makes just now. So there you go, I've left you on a cliffhanger. But what I want to do is, I mentioned this fabric, so this was one that I thought I could potentially use to make the different version of the Hettie dress, and I mentioned also that it might be a good fabric for the Sew Yellow for Endo campaign. And so I think what I'm going to do is try and make a different top with this fabric so that I can take part in Sew Yellow for Endo. What I'll do is I'll put details in the description box below the video of Jess's channel, and also the Baker That Sews, Liz, did a really good episode on her channel about what she was planning to make, and more about the campaign as well. So I'll link both of those below just in case you're interested in doing the Sew Yellow for Endo challenge. But yeah, so I want to make a pattern that I bought in February. Was the Dahlia dress by Fortiv. I hadn't heard of them before, but I get the newsletters from Blackbird Fabrics, and in that they mentioned, I think they did actually mention the Dahlia dress in the newsletter. So when I had a look, I really liked the way that it looked. It reminded me of the Wave Top by Matchy Matchy, but it has a keyhole detail that you can either have in the front or the back, and it also has it has an empire line at the front, but the back, where the seam line is at the back, matches where it is at the front, whereas on the Matchy Matchy top, on the Wave top, it's got a higher seam line at the back, and the Dahlia top can also be made into a dress. So I really liked the look of that. So I bought that pattern, and I think this is what I'm going to make in this fabric. I'm going to make the top first. There's also a dress, but I think I'll make the top first and see if I like it, and then go on to make the dress. So that is a plan for March, now that I've actually finished the Hettie dress. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed seeing my trials and tribulations with the toile, and I'll see you again next month for a catch up in March. Thanks for watching. Bye.